Hello and welcome. You're tuned to the League Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and it's 2000 Guineas Day, start of New Zealand Cup week, so we're in for a bumper week. Good morning to Paul Moati and Stephen Hunt. It's been a bumper week already though, hasn't it, boys?
Certainly has. Plenty going on. Did you find a winner? Did you find a gold trip?
I could not find a gold trip. I thought it might have been one race too many. I was thinking to go Caulfield Cox into the Melbourne Cup, but hey, he was impressive, wasn't he, Steve?
Top weights don't often win the Melbourne Cup, and I think that's where the market was taking a set against that individual, because he was, I think, $10, $11 earlier in the week, and then eased right out to 21. Some agencies had them at $26. So, look, it was a deserving win. He'd been a touch unlucky in the Cox Plate, carried the 57.5, so you've got to give him credit for that. Again, carrying top weight in the Melbourne Cup, not often done. Historically, it shows that.
Yeah.
Mickey D picking up the derby.
Yeah, he did, on El Manzoor. Cambridge Stud as well, yes, Steve. El Manzoor winning the derby, wasn't it?
Yep. Out of a mare called Choice, I think she was by Master Craftsman, and from memory, Robbie Patterson used to train her, and I can remember Robbie having quite an opinion on Choice. I don't think she had a huge amount of starts for whatever reason, but I think she might have placed in maybe an Oaks Prelude on her home track from memory, but that might have been her first progeny.
Okay.
But I haven't seen too many out of it at this stage. She should still be fairly young. We're only talking 3 or 4 years ago, but nice way to salute there when it comes to New Zealand breed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, we've got a treat here, boys. BP, welcome in. You're back.
Whoa.
Hello, team. How we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Just getting through. This is always a busy time of year, and we go Melbourne Cup week straight into New Zealand Cup week.
Yeah, it is, and look, very frantic, isn't it? But at the same time, we know that in the industry we expect it, and it's actually a really good way to be, isn't it? To be able to roll off Australia's big week, and then we roll into our biggest week, don't we? With all three codes getting their chance to shine in the sunshine throughout the next week out of Christchurch. It starts with a bang, doesn't it? Tomorrow with the 2000 Guineas. But is everything that you want in a week, you've got it, because the Trotting Cup is a big day. It is probably our biggest day across all codes, the New Zealand Trotting Cup on Tuesday. And then you get to go to Copeland's Day, Wednesday, which is a nice relaxed day, but it starts to heat up at the latter part of the afternoon because people are in recovery mode, and they start to, just get a little bit of a taste for it around 5 o'clock when the Copeland's rolls around. And then, of course, the Greyhound Cup back to show day Friday, and then finish the job with Cup Day and 1000 Guineas on Saturday. So, it really is a super week.
I know we're a thoroughbred show, BP, and Steve won't, he'll start shaking his head, but that New Zealand Trotting Cup this year, that's a heck of an addition and a wide open betting race as well.
It is. Look, I think it's one of the most open New Zealand Trotting Cups we've seen for quite some time. And Copy That is the horse who's gone to favouritism, and that's only happened in the last couple of weeks. He was $9 or $10 before he won off 70 metres at Alexandra Park, and then he's backed it up by winning last week off 55 metres. But you've got Self Assured, you've got the Purdon horses to be wary of, but there is a lot of form horses through the Cup on Tuesday. So, it's going to be a great race to take in, as will Saturday's race too, because I think the 2000 Guineas, which kicks off Cup Week, is an intriguing race with the addition of a filly by the name of Prowess, who just adds that little extra tinge of interest to the race for mine, and now that she's drawn in Barry number 1.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we're going to go to Maiden of the Week. Is this your Maiden of the Week, Steve, or BP's?
BP's
BP straight back to work. Very good, BP. Maiden of the Week, please.
Maiden of the Week. Wow, you could have picked mountain of Maiden of the Week races. I mean, how good was the racing on Tuesday and Wednesday out of both of these venues, Pukekohe and here, and Wednesday at Avondale. Diamond Discovery, first of all, we'll chat about the horse who wins this race, who, look, is a runner that is beautifully bred, trialled nicely, and looks like a horse who's on towards, our better races over the Christmas period. What about Channel Surfer, though? This horse out wide in the Graham Richardson Rogan Norvell horse, right out wide, produces a turn of foot. Now, of course, Channel Surfer came back from running a placing to pair in the Hawke's Bay Guineas to then compete in this maiden race. Has come from a mile back. I mean, it was dictated to off the barrier draw was this horse in Channel Surfer, but was a huge run to finish into second position. I also would be following Tidal Force out of the race, the Darcy Brahma gelding. He'll be better with further distance. And, of course, this was the first use of the track which was under a bracket of a heavy 8. So I would just keep that in mind, because the track was more likely running like a 7 at that point of the day, and then it progressively got better throughout the afternoon to see the track condition as a soft 5. I'd be keeping tabs on this race, the other maiden races there, and also a couple out at Avondale. I thought it was a great week for maiden horses to follow in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks, to be honest with you.
Oh, it sure is. Steve, looking at those numbers, it looks like they, if you made ground in that race, you were doing pretty well. So Channel Surfer, probably
Yeah, they've
entered Diamond
absolutely
Discovery
crawled.
as well.
Yeah, they've absolutely crawled there. 13 lengths below par to the 600. They've rattled home 35 and change. Just about broke 35 seconds for the last 600 in terms of the race. So that was above par in terms of open handicap set par times. And the class rating was bang on par. So, yeah, absolutely you can follow a lot of horses coming out of this race. I just wanted to show this graphic also. The fastest last 600 of the day at Pukekohe. And Channel Surfer hits number 1 seed there at 33 and change, breaking 34 seconds for the last 600. Look, Channel Surfer had to produce something very, very sharp in terms of her last 600 if she was going to be in that top 3 position purely on how the race shape was set up. And you also see Diamond Discovery in the top 10 at 34.43. She looks to have a bit of Oaks pedigree behind her. I'm sure they're looking at some nice races in the autumn and possibly come Christmas time around that filly. But yeah, definitely a maiden to follow. Well, there's a few horses there that ran some nice sectionals late in the piece. You had Drop of Something, Amberite, who was in the point end of the market, was okay late. So there's a few horses there, even finished worse than midfield, that are worth following outside maybe a Premier Maiden.
Yeah, okay. Still good runs from Channel Surfer and Diamond Discovery on the last 600, Popped.
Yeah, exactly, and look, that's encouraging, and also with what, as Stephen said, you know, with how slow they've gone up front, but those horses have come from a long way back and what developed into a sprint home. So yeah, there's a lot to take away from that particular race, the first race on Melbourne Cup Day. I also will say this too, congratulations to the club, because there was a real strong vibe there out at Counties for Melbourne Cup Day. Of course, it was moved from Ellerslie. We're not there at the moment, and we're not too sure how long that will be in terms of not at Ellerslie. So Pukekohe is taking on some big missions. Of course, they've got Boxing Day races, Karaka Million, and just with the vibe I felt there on Tuesday, it's going to be all good. It's going to be a lot of fun there, and the people got right behind that meeting on Tuesday, and that just gave me the feeling that this is going to be a good place to be over the next sort of 12 to 18 months, with a lot of those replacement races going to that venue.
It did look a good day. Did look a good track.
You mentioned the heavy 8 come race 1, and looking back on form reference around that maiden race, it's going to be a heavy track, knotted to their name. How come we can't see an upgrade from when the pentrometer reading's done early doors in the morning on race day to possibly leading close to race 1 start time? It really is a concern. It's a bugbear to me. It was never a heavy 8.
No.
It might have been early doors in the morning, but how come we can't? Because there's that 4 or 5 hour window where there's been sun on the track. Surely we can upgrade prior to race 1. The stewards / Stipes tend to have a tendency not to do that. Any reason why? Or
oh, look, I guess it's just down to seeing a race, isn't it? That would be my only answer to that, is that they want to see the first race of the day being completed and get that full confirmation from the jockeys out there. I mean, like we all knew, I even said beforehand, and after speaking to Jason Fulford, the track was a 7 and improving by the time that we got there. Now, as you said, that pentrometer was done in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. The sun was out and was belting down. So that track was drying out with a good breeze coming across it. So, yeah, it wasn't an 8, but it was recorded as an 8. They needed to see the first race just to completely, you know, I guess, sign the dotted line there on the condition of being a soft 7. That would be my only answer, really.
Okay, guys, we better push on. Preview time. Let's get to 2000 Guineas Day at Riccarton. Start New Zealand Cup week, Steve. Race number 9 is the 2000 Guineas. Just trying us through track conditions, though. What are we going to be playing on here?
it's currently a soft 5, Thaddeus. Look, there's been little rain in the last 24 hours. They've had to irrigate the track, 16 millimetres in the last 24 hours. Fine day today come Friday, and also a little bit overcast on Saturday, but no rain forecasted to hit the track at Riccarton. As I mentioned, a soft 5 at the moment. It may be around that 4 come race 1 tomorrow, but it might even turn into a race, should I say a 3 later on in the afternoon. So the rail's back in the true position. The last meeting that was held at Riccarton, from memory, look, the rail was out 7 metres to the 1,000 metre mark and then 10 metres to the winning post. So there will be a nice strip of fresh grass from around about 10 metres inwards to the rail come tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, run us through this market, Steve. This has turned into a nice betting race in the end.
Yeah, Pierre heads the market, $3.80, and he's been a a well-backed commodity in futures betting as well, Pierre. I think he was roughly around about that $16 opening quotes. There's some nice tickets around him, and he's the best back runner when it comes to the final field market in the first 36 odd hours of trading. 3.8, it's the original price. Michael McNabb for the Weatherlies. Prowess, the filly. Look, she was late nominated during the week. There we were requested to include her in the futures market on the weekend. With the word coming out of the stable that they'd look to run in the 2,000 guineas, knowing that the flight was down on the Tuesday, leading into the Saturday, and she may back up, all going well, to the 1,000 guineas. But at this stage, she's a $4.50 chance to take on the boys. Dynastic has been a firmer, 6 into 5.50. Cognito, $6 from the original price of $5.50. A Desert Lightning, well found, $8, hasn't budged since the opening call. Double figures around Diz is Dramatic, 10 out to 12. Marlborough Bay at $15. And the best of the rest is Jafira at $31. That middle to end market, just a little bit quiet thus far in trading, but Pierre, the best back runner and the only firmer, sits with number 2 in Dynastic.
Okay, BP, there's been a few moving parts here in the 2,000 guineas. We really didn't settle on this market until very late in proceedings, and then we got Prowess, who was initially nominated, withdrawn, and put back in. So it's been an interesting little journey, this 2,000 guineas. I think they might put a speed map over your initial comments here, but an interesting betting market.
It is. And I guess the Sarton was the race that we were really hoping to nail down, you know, the winner of the 2,000 guineas. And the horse who won the race is not running in it. So then you're looking at horses that were competing in that race that ran well. And those horses, of course, are Desert Lightning and also Dynastic. So let's quickly talk about the map. This is Dramatic. I mean, yes, it led them up in the Watercree Stakes, but we'll talk more around that. But that's the horse who can go forward from barrier number 11. I'd be also very mindful of the horses drawn in 1 and 2. I think they'll be looking for positions. Prowess will be wanting to use that draw of barrier 1. I'm not saying she leads, but she's got the barrier speed, and we saw it in her very first start where she can take a good spot behind. This is Dramatic. It's just about trying to find out where that little injection of speed in the race is going to be, because This is Dramatic should be able to find her way there from out in barrier number 11. They'll be wanting to be positive. Just want to make sure that there's tempo in the race and it doesn't just evaporate. And that's where it's going to be down to some of these horses that are drawn low, or maybe some of the roughies that want to put themselves into more of a position. So that would be just my question mark. But look, it is a Group 1, 2,000 guineas. I'm sure they're not going to walk like they did in the Watercree Stakes anyway, Stephen.
I don't think so, BP. She got away with murder there. This is Dramatic, and look, they'll look to button off. I'm sure Lisa will ignite the early heat purely because she's got a wide gate with This is Dramatic, but I think mid-race they'll look to slacken it and potentially have a similar profile in terms of a race shape to what it found in the Watercree. But if that happens, I'm sure this time jockeys will be onto it, and you may see a mid-race move around about the 800-metre mark by potential 1 or 2 runners / jockeys. But This is Dramatic looks to be the leader early doors.
Okay, Paul. I mean, we've got a few replays we want to have a look at, and our first one is the Hawke's Bay Guineas, and I guess we were looking for someone to stamp their authority in a start, and that didn't quite happen. It sort of left Pierre as favourite. This was a good win, though. He did what he had to do, didn't he?
He certainly did, and I think Darren and Bri Weatherly have got him a cherry ripe for this as well. I really was impressed by the way he finished this one off. And we've had some great winners of the Hawke's Bay Guineas in recent times as well. Agon, Sacred Falls wasn't there too far back either. Catalyst, of course. So, and I think Pierre, you can probably slot them into the same sort of category. So I was really impressed. Like the way he finished off here. The step up to the mile will be ideal, I think. So I think the bookies are right, having Pierre at the top of the market at $3.80 currently. A couple of fillies in the race, of course.
Yeah, we'll get to see one. Oh no, is this the Sarton, Steve? This is obviously who wins this? Desert Lightning and Dynastic from the back, Steve.
Yeah, look, I think with Dynastic, they just have to take their medicine here. Josh Parr, good to see him riding at Riccarton, coming across from the Tasman. But look, I just think they're just got to take their medicine with Dynastic. It's drawn back, it's drawn wide, so they'll go back to potentially the last 2 or 3 and running Dynastic. I think what they'll look to do in terms of negating the wide gate is hoping the bigger track at Riccarton will help Dynastic, but also the step up to 1,600 metres. The race shape suited majority of horses. Probably those horses that were on speed was slightly against, because they did go fairly hard to the 600, which naturally you see there the back half of the field finished in the top 3 or 4, excluding the filly. But look, I think they've got to take their medicine with Dynastic and just hope that the bigger track 16 is the key.
Here's the Watercree you were talking about, BP, with This Is Dramatic, and look, Cognito in the race as well, who probably didn't get all favours with the race shape.
No, he didn't. And look, he's actually run really well, considering, hasn't he? Because he's had to make a run, from about the 800 metre mark to get into the race, because he was back in the field. This Is Dramatic, was able to steal the race in front. So to be able to make a move like he has, he's still been able to run the right sectionals. Look, I still think that he is a horse that has to be respected here, even though he's been beaten. And you look at the fact that he's been beaten a length and a half. I think there was so much surrounding that run from him and how the race developed that he has to be respected. I sort of have him and Dynastic very close together, and with him with a slightly better barrier draw. He has been based in Riccarton. He's the one I'm leaning towards out of the Te Akau runners at this stage, with just how he's been able to perform. And obviously Marlborough Bay was able to run closing sectionals in that race as well, from back in the field and in a slowly run race. Now this is Legato, of course, who we will see next week, but with a chance to line out Prowess. And things just never went her way, did it? This was a tricky watch if you were on the horse, but she's a horse who best worked through the line, doesn't she, when finishing into third position. I love the fact that they've rolled the dice here. This is an opportunity where, there are some boys at the top of the market that are going to be awfully hard to beat, but look, there is a bit of a tail to the field, so they've decided this might be a race we can strike in. And it's been in a preparation where they've been interrupted by rain. They've tried to dodge all those weak tracks, and they have. They've done it very well. They've kept away from Hawke's Bay. They were looking at races like Gold Trail and Hawke's Bay Guineas and all those races, but they've kept away from them and just tried to find the better surfaces. So if she's on her game and off the back of her run there, and I like the fact she's drawn low, she does get an opportunity to finish in the first 3 or 4. And for mine, she looks to be the biggest danger to the favourite in Pierre. I find Pierre on top, and I actually find him really hard to beat in the race with his good draw. I guess the question marks with Pierre is 1,600 metres, of course, and that gap between runs from Hawke's Bay Guineas at Matamata and not having a run since then. But the team believe that he's going to run better, just with some freshness in the legs. He's travelled down well, so happy to back the judgment of the Weatherlies and say that he can get the job done.
Just from numbers, the numbers flash through around the Guineas, the Sartans, the Watercree and the Soliloquy, Steve. Anything to sort of touch on there out of which races were strongest, who performed against the pattern potentially? Anything we need to note there, I guess?
At Te Rapa, the fillies race Soliloquy rated just over 1 length superior to the Sartan, but obviously that was helped by Legato putting a margin on the rest of the fillies. So I don't want to put too much against the boys at Te Rapa against Prowess, because she was well beaten even though she finished in third position. When it comes to the Watercree Stakes, that is a concern, the overall speed rating. Now I know they went very slow to the 600, but my database can account that for that and split the race in two in terms of sectionals. And even though they did run home some nice closing sectionals off a sit and sprint affair in the Watercree, the overall speed rating was roughly around about 4.5 lengths below par. So if you're just looking at on that score alone, the Watercree, those horses bouncing out of that particular race has to improve at least 3 lengths to match what was shown at Te Rapa on the same day. Just with Cognito, I do feel we need to forgive him. I'm just talking about the Watercree. The overall speed rating is against him, but you go back 2 starts ago, the speed rating he produced when he won at Riccarton, beating This Is Dramatic, wasn't too far off the mark to what was produced at Te Rapa in Cognito. You see him there at a $6 quote. The original price was $5.50. You break down his sectionals in that sit and sprint affair. His last 600 was the second fastest on the day. So I'm just working out, could have he done any more in terms of how he finished into second place, considering they've absolutely crawled, what was it, roughly around about 18 lengths below par to the 600? Possibly not. I think they'll try and put him a little bit more forward in this race, even though it's a bigger field. But I'm sure they'll just try and hunt him at least in that mid to neutral position with Cognito, just in case they slacken off mid-tempo, as BP's already mentioned. That could be a possibility with Lisa Press aboard. This Is Dramatic. But Desert Lightning's an interesting runner, BP. I got no doubt he's probably got as much ability from what I've seen as a juvenile and also as an early 3-year-old than most in the race. I've seen that they've been playing around with his gears. He's had side winkers on, he's had blinkers removed. He has had a tendency just to over-race in his early races this campaign. I see Vinny's aboard. he's shown enough gate speed to put himself in the race, but then they've just opted to go into more of a neutral position. I think that's to just try and get him to settle in a race, because as he's showing, he's over-raced at different stages in his last 2 or 3 starts. But if he can jump with them clean enough, it's a bit of a balancing act, and try and keep him in a positive fashion forward of that midfield position. He may be the surprise package, even though he's still respected
He was
the
a
market.
good run on the Sarton, wasn't it?
But he didn't have all favours in the Sarton, and look, he had the race shape to suit. But where do you find Desert Lightning in the mix in this race?
Yeah, look, he's right in the mix for me. He's in that sort of top 5 zone, Desert Lightning. He's still learning his craft, isn't he? And that's what you're sort of getting at there in terms of, with the number of gear changes and things. He ran the 3rd fastest last 200 in the Sarton when getting home close to the rail, and he was really working home through the line to give you those indications that 1,600 metres is going to be right within him. So, yeah, I like his chances, and I think, as you said there, Stephen, you make some good points there about where they want to posse up, where they want to get him comfortable and not over racing. So, look, he's in the marketplace, isn't he? Where does he sort of sit at the moment? He's around that $8 or $9 mark, isn't he? And he's one of the horses that's, when you start working to that middle market, that you could look for top 4s, probably some power plays if there's a power play available with him and maybe Pierre or a Prowess and this runner to both run top 4, something along those lines. That would certainly get me going anyway around Desert Lightning. He's a contender.
Paul, you touched on there's a couple of fillies in the race, and it's no surprise they potentially opted to go this way after what we saw from Legato, but there'd be a chance both of them, I would have thought.
Certainly Prowess. I really did like the look of her in the soliloquy. Didn't have any favours, really, to be fair. They must have an opinion of it, because I'm fairly certain early money on in that soliloquy it was almost one-way traffic for Prowess. So they must think she's got the goods, and obviously they've got it here. And the bookies obviously rate her as well, because she's on that second line of betting at $4.50. One runner that we have taken early money on in this final field 2,000 guineas market is the Mark Walker trained Dynastic.
Yeah, the draw. He's going to get back, isn't he?
He's going to get back, and no Mr. Bosson. So they brought Joshua Parr over. I guess the big question is, will they be calling him the Aussie Opie by the time we get to the end of the week?
Some compliment. And this is dramatic. I mean, you were all over it to beat Cognito last time, weren't you? From memory, if I can give you a little backhanded rap there.
I did like it. Look, if Prowess didn't get any favours in the soliloquy, This Is Dramatic really did get every single favour in that last start win. So obviously, it looks like she won't get the same sort of get away with murder this time.
Yeah.
So she's going to have to be a wee bit better. $12 starting to tempt me, but I can't look away from the top of the market, Pierre and Prowess.
Okay, BP, anything we need to touch on down the page before you give us how we're going to attack this 2,000 guineas?
Look, I'm always wary of the Southerners, and there are a couple of Southerners here that speciality. They're coming out of the Barneswood Farm. Obviously, Malula Bar was working home as a maiden galloper, and that This Is Dramatic Water Cree race. So Chibano, the way that he won first up. So yeah, you sort of have to respect them. Alfriston is an interesting runner from Chris Wood's barn. Look, I know they really do rate him as a type, and they've been able to get the chockies a couple of times through his victories as well, both on the synthetic, and he heads down there at a big price. But I'm around Pierre. I just feel as though everything just seems to fit nicely, doesn't it? Hawke's Bay Guineas, as Paul mentioned, it is a top race to be able to bounce into a 2,000 guineas. We've seen many horses win that go on to win the 2,000 guineas. And really, I have massive respect around Prowess because she just might get the right run. And that's the horse that maybe Pierre's looking out for late in the piece if she gets that split. So, yeah, I'm around the top of the market around those two. And if you're looking for just slightly something away from those horses, it's probably Desert Lightning, maybe, with the way that he ran in the Sarton a couple of weeks ago.
Sounds like you might be sort of in a similar rank. And then, of course, we're leaving out the Tangerine Army if you're on Pierre and Prowess.
Yeah, it's always fraught with danger, isn't it?
Fraught.
Very. I'll just had a look down the page. I don't know. I know it's just out of maidens, but Jafira, if there's one stable that can get a runner-up off just a maiden victory, I think it's the O'Sullivan Scott team. Didn't they do something similar with, was it Asterix in the Derby last year?
Yep. You came through a different path, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sprung a bit of a surprise.
Yep.
So you're Pierre, though, on top. ahead of
Pierre on
Prowess.
top, yeah.
Steve, last thoughts on the 2,000 guineas? What do we need to know?
No, I've got Pierre on top. I think he's got the best turn of foot in the race. I don't think they'll go overly hard. I thought the two things that could undo Pierre was a strong 1,600 metres if they went really hard up front. I just don't see that developing on Saturday, and possibly the firmest track come later on the afternoon at Riccarton. But that's trying to find maybe a couple of negatives. But I'm with Pierre on top. As I mentioned, I think he's got the best turn of foot. He gets a gun run in the first 3 or 4 in running. His sectionals were very, very good at Matamata and the Hawke's Bay Guineas, just rattling off his last 422 and change. His second fastest of the day, the last 200, breaking 12 seconds. So his sectionals on the day were in the top 2 or 3 bracketed at Matamata last start. Pierre, Prowess, there's no doubt she'll get 1,600. She's out of a Don Eduardo mare, so I think she gets a gun run just as the favourite does. And look, I'm similar with BP, the top 2, and also the intriguing runner has to be Desert Lightning. If he does everything in terms of his ring craft on the day and settles in running, he might be the one horse that might challenge and finish over the top of them. And Jafira is an intriguing runner. I think it's closely related, maybe a 3/4 to Elephant.
Tickle Me, yeah. That'll tickle me, isn't it?
Yeah, being by Airfridge. I think there's a similar pedigree around Elephant as well from racing over in Australia. But look, Jafira, intriguing runner. It's a gamble for the O'Sullivans. You don't often see it. A one-start maiden winner heading down to Christchurch. Well, not one start. It's had a few starts, but it's won its maiden race heading towards a Group 1. You mentioned Asterix, and you bang on there. Went into the Derby on the back of a maiden victory, but it's a long way to travel. A young 3-year-old down to Christchurch. A lot of horses have their trip down to Christchurch, and you may not see them till after Christmas. So obviously they've rolled the dice here. It might be one horse that runs above betting expectations.
Maybe BP as a comment on Jafira. BP, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm here till 11, Thad.
Paid till 11, yeah. 11:01, you're out the door, then.
Straight to the MCG.
Yeah, look, you're right. It is sort of a little bit something different, isn't it, that they've applied here. I've been trying to talk to Andrew about this horse, and we haven't quite done that yet. But look, he won well, didn't he? And I know it's a horse that they've always said that he's got the right ability to sort of work his way through. And look, they've seen the field and they're having a go. I like the fact that he's drawn well. He's a horse who's got barrier number 3. He can just tuck away. He can really do no work in the race and try and be presented. That's what happened last time out in his maiden race. There was good pressure on. He just tucked away into a trailing position and he got the job done. So, yep, good chance of maybe trying to pick up a black type placing, and could he be that knockout hope? And you're speaking of Asterix. Oh, do you see that horse troll yesterday out of Matamata? He's back.
Very good.
Just in the marketplace, before we move on to the next race, I do feel they'll take a set against the War Decree purely on its overall speed rating.
Yeah.
So the likes of Cognito, Diz is dramatic. We're already seeing them go out a turn or two. I think Cognito starts closer to 10 than we're sitting around that $6 mark.
Okay.
So maybe $8 north.
Yep.
But I think punters will take a set against that particular race and go with the Te Rapa form.
Okay, it's a great betting race nonetheless, the 2,000 guineas this year's edition. Okay, guys, the other race we're going to have a look at before our interlude, halftime interlude, is the Metropolitan Trophy, the Nautical Boat Insurance Metropolitan Trophy. 2,500, Steve, the traditional lead up to the New Zealand Cup next Saturday.
Yeah, well back fave here in Starry Beale for Michael McNabb and Stephen Marsh. Opens $6 second fave. Is now traded into that top line at $4.50. Clearly the best lead I can give customers on Friday morning. In front of Campanesia, $5.50 unchanged. LJ, just out of turn, $5 to $5.50, so she is that second line with Campanesia. Bella the Ball at $6, got as high as $6.50 just back into the original price. Double figures around Hit the Road Jack, 9 out of turn to 10. Let's Bring It On in a couple of turns, 14 to 12. Leaderboard 14 out to 15. Quota's been spec'd, 18 to 15, so one horse I've identified in the middle market, and then best of the rest is Jack Knows Best at a $16 price. So look, overall summary here, it's pretty straightforward, and it sits around number 3 in Starry Beale. Around that second, third fave, when betting commenced all the way back on Wednesday, Thaddeus now sits in that top line at $4.50.
Okay, decent move, Starry Beale, BP, but a very, very good betting race. He does like it down here this time of year, does Starry Beale?
Yes, I guess the first question is who's here to win the race? Who's here to win the Metropolitan, and who's here to run a good race for next week's New Zealand Cup? That's how I first of all look at this race. And there's money for Starry Beale. They've got some blinkers on, and is running in a good space at the moment, and that's almost enough, isn't it? But this is always a very hard race to bet into, isn't it? The Metropolitan with those that have got their eyes towards 7 days' time in the Cup. I think Belle of the Ball's an interesting runner in the race too. She's been racing consistently in the South Island. She's been down there for quite some time, hasn't she? She ran well on the synthetic, and she finished into 4th position last time to the race and behind Elizabeth Rose. And again, she just might be that type that this race is for her on the weekend for Joe Cameroon aboard. So awkward race, very awkward race is how I would first of all assess this, Thad.
Yeah, exactly. And we're looking at that Spring Classic now, BP. Look away now, Steve, with Campionessa just getting beat into second, but a good run nonetheless for this.
Yeah, it was a top run. I think initially I was a little bit disappointed it didn't get to the best of Elizabeth Rose, but I think Elizabeth Rose might be smart. I wanted to give a bit more credit to the original winner there, Elizabeth Rose, horse on the up. Not sure what her program is over Cup Week, whether she has a race in mind, but I think she got beaten by a smart one, Campionessa. The problem with Campionessa, look, she hasn't drawn a gate on Saturday, but she drew a gate that day in the Spring Classic and was unable to utilise it. She just doesn't show that tactical speed, and so the wide gate is really no negative because she was probably going to find herself worse in midfield anyway, Campionessa. Look, she has to be a chance. She's won, well, in fact, both Te Akau runners, excluding leaderboard, but Campionessa and also Belle of the Ball are not nominated for the New Zealand Cup. So you'd suggest this is their grand final in terms of Cup Week. They may back up on the last Saturday and find a race there, but the initial thought is that this may be their grand final, and that's why I'm leaning towards the Te Akau pair and Campionessa and Belle of the Ball. Belle of the Ball, 1.5 kgs better off to Campionessa this time round, so that's a slight advantage. And I think with Belle of the Ball, didn't draw a gate last start. It's drawn barrier 4. I'm sure Joe can utilise that barrier and probably sit in front of Campionessa this time around, where it was in behind Campionessa last start at Riccarton. So, look, I think Belle of the Ball can turn the tables in Campionessa. The market reflects that. I think there's roughly half a point or a point separating those two. They finish, or they situate in that top 4 in the market. But yeah, I do like how those two, this just looks to be a sense of timing in terms of their grand final, where PP's already mentioned a lot of these horses, the majority of these horses have one eye, potentially two eye towards next Saturday.
BP and Steve are talking about intent here, Paul, intent for this one. What are your thoughts here?
Speaking of intent, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I see the Kevin Myers trained LJ, who is well in the New Zealand Cup market.
And a horrible result from memory as well, LJ. Yeah.
Funny that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, intent, yeah.
Not as much money in this market, early stages
No,
around LJ.
so we're just looking to just have a nice little freshen up before we hit the big time next Saturday. I don't know. I do like the look of Dummy Myers' other runner, Mondarani. Look, hasn't done a lot.
Did he win the New Zealand Cup last year? Yes,
Did win the New Zealand Cup.
Yeah,
Finished
sorry,
4th in this race last year as well. So if they go at a fair clip, I think he's right in this. I can think we can see him finishing over the top. Sarah O'Malley has a very good affinity with the horse. So currently $18. Don't mind the look of that. But yeah, Starry Beale, look, was less than a combined length from winning the Wellington and Waikato Cups last season.
He deserves it. He deserves it, doesn't he, BP? Well, there's a $100,000 race, the Metropolitan BP. So you know, we're not playing for nothing here.
No, certainly not peanuts. That's for sure. So. Yeah, it's just technically it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I'd be watching what Hit the Road Jack does. Now, he's a horse who's got 59 kilograms, Matthew Crop aboard. Good to see Matthew back riding on the flat. He's a horse who likes to really build into his race. He's got a wide barrier draw, so he'll take his time. And if you think of those races out of Ruakaka, yes, they've been in small fields, but they like to light the fuse down the back straight and really put him into the race. Will they be looking to try and adapt those sort of tactics and put him into it and really get rolling? Because he does respond off that. That's how he likes to race. So that will help the race no end if they're looking to apply that. He's a horse who is, of course, nominated for the New Zealand Cup as well the following week. Is Hit the Road Jack, and he is in single figures at an $8 quote. So I'll just be watching what he does. But I think the two Te Akau runners that are not nominated for the New Zealand Cup, as you said, that it's a $100,000 race. It's a good target race for them with Campionessa and both Belle of the Ball and look, Starry Bill's tracking nicely. He's a horse that's right on target for the Cup as well. He's second favourite for the New Zealand Cup. He ran second in the Wellington Cup last year, so he's going to be a definite danger if he runs well through this, and especially if he wins the Metropolitan going into the Cup next week. So, yeah, things look good. I'm looking forward to the Cup. Look, LJ, I think, is a horse that, look, we've all seen. Look, Blind Freddie's seen how LJ's going leading into a New Zealand Cup preparation. He looks bang on. So I think we're just waiting to see how he runs on the weekend to sort of seal that.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, what are your final thoughts here in the Metrop? Which way would you be going? Obviously, that money around Starry Bill, almost enough to sort of give you, it's going to be hard to beat, you would suggest.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm going to go a wee bit wider. Monderani, I think I'll have
That's right.
little each way money on Monderani, and hope they go at a good tempo, and we'll see fly down the outside.
$18 Monterey flew around down the outside in this last year's New Zealand Cup. Needs a favourite, this New Zealand Cup, Steve. I've had a look at the book this morning. There's a $6 or $7, $8, everything. And
$6 each of two, I think, Starry Bill and LJ. I think the top 4 or 5 in the market are losing liabilities for the TAB, so they've well and truly put us into shape in terms of that futures market.
Yep.
I'm not sure about Kevin Myers and his intent in this particular race. I went back historically, way back to 2005, and he's yet to win this race. I don't think he's had a huge amount of runners slash volume in terms of individuals contesting the Metropolitan. Recent years he's had a fair few, but maybe in the last 15 years not as much. But he's yet to win the Metropolitan with the runners. He's contested in the Metropolitan. But saying that, the New Zealand Cup, he's had a couple of winners in the last 10 years, including Spring Cheer and obviously Monderani last year. So, look, he's just got a sense of timing, LJ. Whether it's tomorrow afternoon remains to be seen, but he has a senior jockey aboard. There wasn't shown all that much intent at Trentham last start, and I think he's the best out of the Kevin Myers runners if he was able to win the Metropolitan, Kevin. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Te Akau pair in Campanesia and Bella the Ball.
Okay.
I don't think there's too much between them. The race shape is intriguing. I don't see a huge amount of speed in this race, and knowing the fact that a lot of horses will be just wanting to get a nice run home gently, heading towards 2 miles next Saturday or 7 days' time. So the pace probably want to be in Paris, and Jack Knows Best. And with that, I think Jack Knows Best could be one horse to spice up exotic bet types purely on the map, and he's going to be in the first 2 and running.
Might get away with murder.
If it could do. This BP's hit the road, Jack loops him and puts a bit of pressure on. We'll see.
Yes.
We'll see. Okay, guys, half time, and you know what that means. Paul, what time is it?
It's a minute with me, isn't it?
It's a minute with you.
And we've got, this time we've got a jockey who some refer to as the postman.
This week's Minute with Mawadi.
Hello, I'm Christopher Dell, 30 years old from Palmerston North, jockey.
Who's been the biggest influence in racing for you?
In racing, Grant Cooksley. He's been a very good help to me.
What was the first car you owned?
Toyota Sinus, I think it was, a green little 2-door coupe, bam, fast one.
Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
Most famous person in your phone contacts?
Chris Dell.
Your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Nicki Minaj, Anaconda.
Favourite NRL team?
Penrith Panthers.
Favourite junk food?
Real chocolate.
Who should be All Black coach?
Not me.
Who has it easier, jockeys or trainers?
Trainers have a very easy lifestyle.
Favourite board game?
Monopoly?
Union or league?
Union.
Favourite cocktail?
Porn star martini.
Fill in the blank. The best Barrett brother is?
Geordie.
First celebrity crush?
Do I say a boy or a girl? Chris Hemsworth.
Which player would you most like to see at the Warriors next season?
Sean Johnson.
Yeah. Favourite horse you've ever ridden?
That's a hard one. I don't really have a favourite. I've got too many favourites.
Favourite movie then?
Project X.
You can invite 3 people to a dinner party. Who are they?
I've had this before. Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, and
Bit of a trend.
yeah, good artists. Dua Lipa.
Huge trend. Race you'd most like to win?
Auckland Cup.
horse we should be keeping an eye out for this season?
Satorio.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Chris Dell. That Thor, though, he's a bit of a hunk, though, isn't he?
He is, and seems to be, he loves female artists with great big, huge, booming voices.
Very good. Very
How
good.
long have you been thinking that one for?
What?
Yeah. I've never heard of a two-out of sinus either. That doesn't sound too flash, does it?
I think it was the only model, the only car of that model in New Zealand.
Must have been.
Ever.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Chris Dell, for your time. And Minute with Moati will be back next week. He could be at a track near you. Riccarton Race 5, guys, we won't have a touch on this. It's the Donaldson Brown Pegasus Stakes, Steve. And of course, no surprise we're running shorter time already here on the leg up, but run us through this market.
Burgundy Rose heads the market there at $3.30. Original price $3.20. OK Pal, well found in the market, 6 into 5. Also Chulla, probably Chulla the best lead I can give fractionally in front of number 4 OK Pal, 6 into 5.50. Arish 6.50. Buoyant, 10 into 8.50, so a firmer there. And best of the rest is Rockland at $10. So look, overall summary, not a huge amount of cash thus far has flowed into this particular market, but Chulla and OK Pal are the best lead I can give, the 4 and the 3 in the book.
Okay, Tiake will hold a strong hand here, Pops, and we've got Burgundy Rose favourite, but the money with Charla, some interest there.
Gee, I'm not surprised. I mean, this horse has come back super, hasn't he? And form lines follow this horse too. I mean, that's the other key thing too, is his first up victory out of Taupo, second and third have come out and been sub-winners. He then wins next start to the races out of Matamata. Fourth and fifth have been sub-winners out of that race. So, yeah, good form. And he's just putting them to the sword, isn't he? He's jumping and running. This is 1,000 metres where he's drawn barrier number 11, and there is a bit of speed inside him. That's probably one thing we need to bear in mind. Look, Burgundy Rose, it was a really hard watch, wasn't it, if you were on Burgundy Rose last time to the races, because he was impeded by the fallen runner, and it was really just a tough watch just to try and unsure what's going on, and then you're hoping you cleared the riderless horse, and then still just couldn't quite get the job done. So that was a tricky one for punters when Summer Monsoon won. Really good first up to the races. This could be a nice ride for Josh Parr coming up here in Burgundy Rose. So I do like her chances. I think the Te Akau pair can fight it out, but I'm always wary when OK Pal is fresh up over 1,000 metres on his home surface. That is the horse I think we all have to be worried about, and hearing that there is money for him. Yeah, the Pitmans, they're going to win some races over this carnival. We know they will, and this is a horse that they do have a lot of time for. And when he's ready to rock and roll over 1,000 metres on a firm deck, that almost puts a little green tick next to his name. So he's going to run super.
Okay, Steve, look, Charla, $5.50, Burgundy Rose, $3.30. I think we've got a replay of Charla's last start win at Matamata somewhere in the can there. But, I mean, he's been impressive, and it's just, as BP says, just putting them to the sword.
Yeah, and BP made a good point. There's just a ton of form that's bouncing out of this particular race, but also his win at Taupo when he resumed. Arish has franked that form running second at Taupo, has been a sub-winner down in Christchurch. The Bella Beals bounces out of this particular race, has won since, and a few others as well. So it's bringing really strong form line, and that's why I'm gravitating towards Chulla. I see there's a 12% disparity between Burgundy Rose and Chulla. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Chulla starts close to fave here. I think the possibility of Burgundy Rose drifting from the original price, I reckon it starts closer to $4 and the $3 mark presently around Burgundy Rose. Look, she's not an overly big type, Burgundy Rose, and she's going up in the weights, which is always a concern for me, even though it's only 1,000 metres. She's carrying the 59.5, so a slight negative around Burgundy Rose. And I don't know if there's that much speed in the race. I think they're naturally going to go reasonably quick over 1,000 metres down the chute, but I do feel there's an opportunity for Chulla to get to the rail and find that position. And if she does, or if he does, Chulla, he's clearly the horse to beat. He's a rail horse, even though he just came to the centre track first up at Taupo and had to hold on that position against Arish. But yeah, I'm gravitating towards Chulla, and on that score, I've got to go over Arish because they bring similar form lines, and you can you can wind their form lines in between each other this campaign, even though Risha has made the trip down south in recent weeks.
Sorry, Steve. Bit of winning form here, Paul. What are your thoughts here? Which way are you leaning?
Well, it does seem that Charla has turned the corner since returning. So it's very. I guess we get the 550.
So we better grab it now, would we?
I think probably because of the wide draw. Other than that, I think I would have thought they'd be $1.80 the pair.
Not much between them.
No. So I'm happy to take Charla. I'm sure Craig Grills will be able to get him across without too much spent. And I agree with BP. The Pitmans they're definitely going to pick up some gold over the next 7-8 days. And OK Powell has a very good record at Riccarton and a superb record fresh up. So we'll be ready to go. So yeah, I'm just looking outside. I know Burgundy Rose had excuses last time, where what was that riderless source? Feeling Power, I can't remember.
Feeling the Power, that
Feeling
Mark
the
Jones,
Power.
is it? Yeah.
And just it was all over the place. And she still finished off very, very nicely, but I do like the other two, Charla and OK Powell.
Geez, it seems like you might be lining up here, BP. You might be tapping away on your phone as we speak, grabbing some 550 around Charla.
Look, I'm pretty keen to have a split beat here. I think this is a race where you could do that. And if there's going to be extra movement around Charla, well then it's probably a good time to start doing that, because if it's $5.50 now, play a split bet with OK Powell, who's at $5, and then look, just keep watching. Dare I say, you could have 3 bets in the race if Burgundy Rose starts pushing out to $4. So that would be my early assessment of the race. I'd be keen to be backing Charla and also OK Powell with where they both sit in the market.
Okay, sounds like you're very similar. Charla, OK Powell.
I'll jump on the BP train. Yeah. He needs to pay off those credit bills from Australia, so.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
True.
Righto, team. One more race we want to have a look at, and look, it's the race of the day for mine. No, mate, I have my tongue firmly in my cheek. Race number 6 at Te Rapa, Steve, is the Legacy Lodge Sprint over 1,200 metres, and you'll be able to tell us about track conditions at Te Rapa as well as you run us through this market.
Well, initially, I'll just run through the market. $6 each of 2 Gospodin and Malt Time. Now, there's a bit of movement here. Round number 11, Malt Time. Original price is $8. It now sits in that top line with Gospodin. So Malt Time, drawn barrier 1 for the Clotworthy team. Masa Hasazumi does the riding there. Peking Rockstar and Tavia in that third line at $7 each of 2. Tavia $7.50 into 7. Faithful Feet $8.50 and a point to 7.5. It's intriguing money considering it's first up for Peter Locke. One More Time, the only other runner in single figures at $9. A tight line out of turn to $11. Winning for All also out of turn to $11 with Baldara. And Side by Side is best of the rest at $13. So 3 firmers, number 11 Malt Time, Tavia, and also Faithful Feet.
Track conditions, where are we going to be playing here at Te Rapa?
Yeah, well, let's have a look. Last time I did check yesterday afternoon was around that 5-6 mark. It's soft 5 currently. Rail out 6 metres. They've had 5.5 millimetres of rain in the last 24 hours. So I think it'll be no worse than a soft 5 and look for an upgrade later on in the afternoon.
Lovely. Hey, talk about betting races, BP. This is a cracker, isn't it? There's some quality in this field.
Yeah, it is. And it's always a good race, this, isn't it? The Legacy Lodge Sprint. It is, of course, not the main course to what we have throughout the day with everything out of Riccarton, but boy, there's a lot to like about this race, and we'll set up for our sprinting races coming up in the northern region in the coming months. Yeah, we're likely to have a very warm day tomorrow. We have had some rain this morning and a little bit last night, and it's been that type of week. It's been on and off. We've had fine days and then we've had some rain. So, look, we know that Te Rapa is a track that's one of the better draining tracks around, and to see it at a soft 5 and the likelihood of it drying today and tomorrow should sit in a good spot. I really like One More Time. Now, this is a horse that has a good low draw. We know can jump and run. Sits around $9. Ran 3rd in a Westbury Classic, of course, over the Karaka Million Carnival. Just feel as though she might be ready to strike and show something here with where she's sitting as a price. This could set up for maybe something closing like a Tavia and those type of horses. But if this horse can get the right run in front, she might be awfully hard to catch. I've been waiting for Malt Time to get to a better race. There is a good race in her, and she might get a black type here on the weekend. The money would tell you that she can. She's drawn well, so it means she can just take that spot in behind that pressure. if it's likely to come from One More Time, who does have the barrier speed to cross them and get to that spot. And Gospodin, I really liked his run too in finishing second, first up to the races in the Sweynesse. He's a horse who was good enough to be stakes place in Australia. He ran second in a takeover target, did Gospodin. Yes, he needs a heavy surface because all his best form's on that track, on those type of conditions. But this showed me here on a soft 7, look, he's more than capable of getting away. I think he's got the right sort of class to actually get through on a slightly better surface. So don't be discounting him just because he's got all his form in the heavy bracket. But look, this is the Sweynesse. As you see the horse finishing in a second, Packing Rockstar runs into third position. Look, we know the horse that wins the race is a good mare in Bonnie Lass, and she's going to be tackling some of our Group 1 races, sprinting races this season. So that's a good guide, that particular race. Yeah, but as I said, I'm keen to get around One More Time off the back of that run there to be able to turn it around and run a race at $9.
That looks good form for a race like this with Bonnie Lass. We know how good she is, Paul, but boy, there's some winning chances everywhere, I would have thought. There's Tavere's first up into this, Faithful Feet first up, and there's money for both of them.
Winning for all.
Oh, I'm trying not to mention it. I'm hoping Steve and the team might drift at a few rolls for us, Winning for all.
Well, yeah.
What's the report out of the stable?
Well, Stephen Marsh, always confident. We can say that about Stephen. No, he reports he's very well. He's been given a bit of time, hasn't he, Paul? But he looks to be right. He ran in that Foxbridge, didn't he? He ran with credit, but he looks to be
on a track that probably didn't suit.
No, too wet one on that day.
I think the fresh up run at
handicap conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
Does he lead?
No,
Does he lead?
No.
I don't think he leads. I would be surprised if he led. Winning for all, drawn barrier 2.
Oh, I thought it would possibly be. Well, my map it's a little bit cagey because you've got a lot of horses here resuming, but I thought One More Time and Faithful Feet. I think with the early money around Faithful Feet and looking at its previous trial leading into the race with Sam Spread on, which we know she can hunt the horses out of the machine. I thought that might be the potential leader with One More Time and with the likes of Winning for All, even though it's drawn barrier 2 from memory.
2, yeah.
Yeah, I think they want to show a little bit of intent and try and use that gate and maybe be in the first 3 or 4.
Who else did you like, Paul? Who else did you have in commission here?
Oh, I did like that form coming out of the Sweynesse, Gospodin and Packing Rockstar. See Craig Zaki gets the ride on Packing Rockstar.
Craig Zaki, know a lot about him?
He's the South African boy, isn't he?
Oh, BP will know. Craig Zaki,
Yep. Yeah, of course, we've seen Warren Kennedy. Boy, I think we're going to see Warren Kennedy winning a few races in NZ over the next little while. He is just starting to wind up, isn't he, with what we've seen from his wares over the last week, and Craig Zaki as well. So, look, these are both talented riders out of South Africa. I think we are very lucky to have them here, and it's going to strengthen our jockey ranks. And Craig Zaki rode at the trials yesterday for a number of different trainers. So, yep, they'll be hitting the ground running.
Fantastic. Give us a top 4 or how you're going to attack the Legacy Lodge, because it is a cracking betting race, Pops.
It is. Look, I just want to have a bet on One More Time here. I think the horse is at grade each way. Will give a brilliant sight out in front. And if the horse can find that form that we saw from last season, and is, look, more than capable of winning a race like this, and might even get out further, because, look, there's some big names here. And look, Tavere, we saw from last preparation, won 4 races last season, so that'll take money in Packing Rockstar. So, yep, One More Time, around that $9 or $10 mark, I'll have some each way money on that one.
Very good. Paulie, where have you settled here?
Packing Rockstar on top for me, with Craig Zaki getting off to a very nice start to his career here in New Zealand. Gospodin just in behind, and I'll throw Winning for All in for a top 4.
Very good. No bias there at all.
No.
Summation of the race, Steve, if you had to.
Tricky race. I'd probably lean towards Faithful Feet. I'm intrigued with the early money on.
Money's
it's going to
there.
go forward in the first 2 and running. I love to go back last campaign, even though that was 1400 running second in Westbury. So it's got black type print already. Faithful Feet. It could be a progressive sprinter. With Tavere, interesting. I read comments throughout the week. Pam Gerard mentioning that, because initially I thought, oh, this is one horse that's suited, with the railway being transferred from Ellerslie to Te Rapa, because this horse is unbeaten on track and distance, 4 from 4. But the comments from Pam suggesting this horse might be just a little bit dour, older mare, being by a contributor, probably wanting 14, 16 later in its prep, and just might find them a bit sharp over 1200. But the money is on Tavere. Be tempo related, her chances, but you just can't ignore that
Pam
track
wouldn't be
distance
pulling a
there.
Swifty, would she?
No, I think she's legit. No, I think she's
I'm
legit. But initially, I
joking.
thought this horse profiles beautifully
Yeah,
for
looked
a railway.
53 kg,
Her opportunity,
yeah,
set
I mean,
weights
yeah.
and penalties, transferring from Ellerslie to Tarapa because we know she just loves the joint when it comes to Tarapa to there. But maybe that time of the year she'll possibly be looking for 7 furlongs and beyond.
Okay, interesting. Very, very good betting race. BP with one more time. Paul gone with Packing Rockstar, and money for Tavere and money for Faithful Feet, both first up into this. Okay, guys, bet of the week time, bet of the day time, bet of tomorrow. We'll start with you, BP. Where did you settle for your bet of the week?
I'm going to go for a Darren Weatherly and Briar Weatherly trained runner, and it lines up in race number 4 by the name of Maria Farina. This horse is a really nice type. Been waiting to see her on a firm track. They have resisted the urge of running this horse throughout the spring and our very wet spring. She needs a road, and she'll get a road tomorrow with that track drying out. She's had a good trial, which was obviously back in the early part of August. Words are that she is flying, so I'm happy to be on her over 1,100 metres.
Very good, Maria Farina for BP. Paulie, where are you going this week, mate?
I'm going to head to the 2,000 guineas.
You're going to the big dance.
The big
Half
dance.
sibling.
And I really like the look of Pierre. I thought that run in the Hawke's Bay Guineas was fantastic. The extra furlong will be just perfect. He's got a lovely turn of foot, this boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pierre. Hoo-hoo.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. Look at your ROI, plus 39%. So Pierre for me as well. Steve, bet of the week for you. Where did you land?
I'll go over the hill here at Taraniko on Sunday. Come the last race, is a maiden 1300. Number 1, Graham John. Bounces out of a very strong maiden race in terms of speed ratings, rated 4.5 lengths above par. You see Bold Bell, the eventual winner there, leading from the front out of the Patterson stable. But number 5, rattling home into second, Graham John, produced the best sectionals, not just in this race, but on the day, over 1,200 metres. Well, the market won't open till later in the week, but I think you can get
tomorrow
$3
morning, will it?
mark.
Yeah.
$3 mark around Graham John come the last at Taraniko on Sunday, and there's already been form franked out of that particular race with Straight Shooter, who finished 5th in behind Bold Bell, coming out being a sub-winner. So you're going around at Graham John.
Graham John, that can dig me out of the weekend on Sunday afternoon. Very good. Okay, team, time to wrap it all up. Paul, Twitter poll for our listeners. What's happening there this week, and which horses can we vote for, do you know?
Yep, just head to TAB Racing on Twitter and look for the leg up poll, and the 4 horses this time: Starry Bill, Pierre, Mil Fiore, and Atishu over in Flemington, who will have J-Mac on board as well. If you leave a comment, you're going a draw for a chance to win a $100 bonus bet. So yeah, head there, have a vote, and leave a comment.
You leave a comment, very good. And we've got promotions this weekend. I presume we've got enhanced bonus backs, and what else is happening?
Yes, once again, Thad, we've got the enhanced bonus back. I know you love it. I know BP
love
loves the enhanced
BP
bonus
does.
back.
Yeah.
Where we pay back to, second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yep.
A bonus bet up to $50. The first 4 races, we're at Riccarton, Tarapa,
This will test you.
Flemington,
Yeah.
and Sydney.
Yes, Sydney, very good. Yeah, I knew that'd
New
catch you.
South Wales.
Yeah, New South Wales. Thanks, BP. Thanks for your efforts. Good to have you back, mate. You'll be looking forward to Saturday.
Certainly will. Look, massive day, and I think probably the best day coming up out of the Melbourne Cup Week Carnival will be the last day. I mean, we get to see the Cox Plate field basically go around and do battle again with I'm Thunderstruck and Animo and all those horses. Kiwis have a big chance too, and I think Levante can run a big race. She's drawn out wide with Nature Strip. Rockin' Horse also in the race, but yeah, let's hope those Kiwis can do us proud on the last day of the Carnival.
No doubt. I'm sure Levante will give a good account of herself. Thanks, Pops, for your efforts, and good to see you back. Thank you, boys. We'd better go. You'll be around tomorrow, Steve?
Yeah, I'll be around in the office, yep.
Yep. And looking forward to tomorrow, Paul.
Certainly am, yeah. Big day. Yeah,
Big day.
Good
BP's.
tracks.
Good
It's always a
tracks.
positive.
Flemington's flying. Cup week starts. It couldn't be better, really.
Mustang Valley. She'll run
Mustang
above her betting expectation. Don't worry about that, even on a dry deck.
Okay, very good. Thanks for your efforts, boys, and thank you for joining us once again. We'll see you 7 days' time on The Leg Up.